Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Chapter 11. Advanced Occupation, Skeleton Warrior. A skeleton with an advanced occupation. The loss of 3 skeleton soldiers is nothing, Sumu can make up for it in minutes. What he saw through the vision of the number 26 skeleton soldier made Suemu's heart a little uncertain. Advanced skeleton. Surrounded by a group of skeleton soldiers, and able to kill the 26th skeleton soldier who has reached level 17 in one hit, only skeletons who have obtained the advanced professional template can do it. Only, I don't know what advanced occupation this advanced skeleton has, and what its level and 4-dimensional attributes are. After thinking for a while, Sumu gave an order in his mind to let the other 27 skeleton soldiers who were still hunting return to him, and then took the 27 little brothers towards the 26th quilt. Go in the direction of the kill. An advanced skeleton and the advanced occupation information it represents are still very attractive to Sumu. No matter why it appeared in this area, as long as this advanced skeleton is not strong enough to crush Sumu and the 27 skeleton soldiers under his command, Sumu wants to give it a try. Compared with breaking into an area where a large number of advanced skeletons are active, it is obviously easier to hunt down such a single advanced skeleton. Besides, even if he is not the opponent of this advanced skeleton, he can retreat completely. The big deal is to start all over again. Using his current strength to enslave the little brother of the skeleton soldier is already a very easy thing. The place where number 26 was beheaded was not very far from Sumu. After more than an hour, Sumu arrived at his destination with his little skeleton soldier. On the way there, he even enslaved 3 other skeleton soldiers, replenishing the number of his younger brothers to 30. Then, 3 piles of skeletons appeared in front of Sumu. Before reaching the 3 piles of skeletons, Sumu leaned down and observed it carefully. Apart from the marks from the sword, there were no other scars on the 3 piles of bones. In other words, these 3 skeleton soldiers were all killed by that advanced skeleton. Sumu can also kill a level 17 skeleton soldier in one move. I just don't know what the upper limit of strength of that advanced skeleton is. After thinking for a while, Sumu no longer hesitated, and took his little skeleton soldier to chase in one direction. For the skeleton soldier who has almost no wisdom at all, the advanced skeleton just walked away. It's hard to find, for Sumu, that's not a problem. An advanced skeleton that was a little taller and stronger than Sumu, and the traces and footprints left by more than a dozen skeleton soldiers on the ground, allowing him to easily find the direction they left. Brisk all the way. In just half an hour, Sumu caught up with the advanced skeleton. Only, what that advanced skeleton was doing, made Suemu's heart cool. Advanced skeleton, hunting. Just as he killed his skeleton soldier with one sword, when Sumu arrived, he happened to see the scene where this advanced skeleton beheaded another skeleton soldier with one sword. Turn out to be, not only the outer and inner skeletons are leaks. Even these skeletons who have already reached the 10th level, who have been transferred to skeleton soldiers and enter the central area of the bone burial ground are also the leaks stalked by the higher rank skeletons. The dead skeletons are nurtured by the breath of death and become a family of skeletons. The lowest level skeletons are nourished by the breath of death and level up. Gradually stronger skeletons are hunted by other skeletons and turned into experience points. The skeletons that have been transferred to skeleton soldiers are hunted by higher rank skeletons and become their nutrients. Progressively, it is also a closed loop. As long as you don't stand at the top of the bone burial ground, you can't get rid of the fate of being harvested. After realizing this, Sumu sneered in his heart. Yes, he is a skeleton. They are undead. In such a monster race with only cold killings, he still retains the way of thinking when he was a human, which is a huge mistake in itself. Fortunately, he woke up early. If he continues to maintain the previous way of thinking to treat these skeletons and the entire undead family, I am afraid that what awaits him is not just a cold heart. The movement of more than 30 skeleton soldiers acting together is not small. When Sumu found the advanced skeleton also found Sumu. Almost immediately after beheading the skeleton soldier, the advanced skeleton carried a 2-handed sword and charged towards Suemu's direction. It's hunting. Nature will not reject more prey. Especially Sumu. Although there was no verbal communication, Sumu felt that the goal of that advanced skeleton was himself. Perhaps, from the point of view of that advanced skeleton, The self, who is far stronger than the ordinary skeleton soldier, is a leek that is exceptionally strong and nutritious. The goal of the advanced skeleton is himself, so why is Suemu's goal not this advanced skeleton? When the advanced skeleton rushed towards this side, Suemu's heart moved, and the more than 30 skeleton soldiers under his command rushed towards the advanced skeleton without fear of death. Suemu himself, mixed in this army of bones and charged together. Skeletons are fast. After a few breaths, the advanced skeleton crossed a distance of hundreds of meters and appeared in front of Suemu and others. Then, the heavy two-handed sword was raised high and swept out. Boom. Whoa. Just one hit. The skeleton soldier who was charging at the front was torn apart and turned into broken bones scattered all over the sky. The two skeleton soldiers that followed were also affected and cut off. Although he didn't die, he lost his fighting power. With one blow, Suemu's 3 skeleton soldiers who were not low in level were abolished. This is the crushing brought about by the advanced skeletons surpassing the skeleton soldiers in level and rank. The advanced skeletons are charging, intending to kill all the skeleton soldiers who are blocking the front, and take Suemu directly. Suemu was not idle either. Letting the other 2 skeleton soldiers stand in front of him, he himself stepped out and appeared on the side of the advanced skeleton. With the strength of his whole body, the skeleton sword in his hand drew a cold light towards the advanced skeleton. One leg bone is cut off. Chapter 12. Kill or conquer, this is the question. Do. A dull sound like chopping wood resounded in the air. Taking advantage of the advanced skeleton's sword, it was too late to return to defense, and the skeleton sword in Suemu's hand slashed fiercely on one of the advanced skeleton's leg bones. Bone meal scattered. A huge gap appeared on the leg bone, and it cut off more than a third of the thick leg bone. Advanced skeleton rage. Ignoring the 2 skeleton soldiers who had rushed in front of him, he swung the big sword in his hand and slashed straight towards Suemu. Jung. The harsh sound of gold and iron symphony sounded. Suemu blocked the advanced skeleton's blow with the skeleton sword. His body swayed slightly, and the soles of his feet sank deeply into the soil. The modao in his hand blocked the two-handed sword, and a tiny gap appeared where he was slashed by the two-handed sword. Then, Suemu smiled. With just this short contact, he has roughly estimated the strength gap between himself and this advanced skeleton. Strength attribute, there is a gap of at least 5 points between myself and this advanced skeleton. Speed attribute, I have the upper hand. In terms of physical attributes, from the degree of damage to the skeleton weapon, this advanced skeleton is stronger than himself, but the strength is extremely limited. To sum up, even fighting alone, Suemu can deal with this advanced skeleton for a long time, not to mention that he has nearly 30 skeleton soldiers. The professional template of this advanced skeleton. He wants it. With a thought, he asked the remaining 27 skeleton soldiers to divide into 5, and went to entangle the more than 10 skeleton soldiers brought by this advanced skeleton. Suemu asked the remaining 22 skeleton soldiers to fight. Advanced skeletons are surrounded by them. Attack. Do not. The difference is nearly double the physique. Even if the weapons of these skeleton soldiers can cause damage to advanced skeletons, it is extremely limited. Their function is to hinder the attack of the advanced skeleton. With Suemu's order, all the 22 skeleton soldiers threw away their weapons, jumped into the air, and rushed towards the advanced skeletons. Boom. Whoa. The two-handed sword was cut horizontally, and the 2 skeleton soldiers in front of the advanced skeleton were directly torn apart. The skeleton soldiers on its side and behind, but they were successfully hung on the advanced skeleton. Their slender and pale phalanges were buckled in the gaps in the bones of the advanced skeleton. They were smaller and more delicate than the advanced skeleton, and they also covered the tall and strong body of the advanced skeleton. The two-handed sword is extremely powerful. Even Suemu did not dare to underestimate its edge. But, when it is swung, it is a weapon. When it is stationary, it is not worth even a broken bone on the ground. A skeleton soldier, advanced skeletons can easily break free. When the number of skeleton soldiers reaches 5, 10, 15. The advanced skeleton at this time is like a strong man bound by countless ropes, and it is difficult to exert his strength even if he has 1,000 strengths. Restricted by the heavy skeleton soldiers, it can't even wield the two-handed greatsword in its hand. At this time, Suemu has quietly appeared behind the advanced skeleton. Looking at the head that was deliberately set aside by the skeleton soldiers and struggled, he slowly raised the skeleton moblade in his hand and cut it down with all his strength. Do. Do. With each slash, the body of the advanced skeleton trembled violently. When the skeleton Madao was cut down with all its strength 3 times in a row, the stout neck of the advanced skeleton was finally cut off, and the head, which was the absolute core of the advanced skeleton, also flew out. By this time, the battle is over. If the head is lost, the skeleton of the advanced skeleton will only struggle to find its own head. If the body is lost, the head of the advanced skeleton can only lie on the ground and struggle helplessly. At least before the head and body were reintegrated, this advanced skeleton had lost the ability to resist. Kill them. With an order, the 5 skeleton soldiers continued to trap the body of the advanced skeleton, and the remaining skeleton soldiers assisted the 5 skeleton soldiers at the beginning to destroy the younger brother brought by the advanced skeleton. Su Mu walked to the front of the skeleton. An advanced skeleton. Looking at the skull on the ground with its mandibles still moving and making a creaky sound, Su Mu was a little stunned. He was thinking whether to kill this advanced skeleton or conquer it. Killing this advanced skeleton will give him a lot of experience points. Using the erosion talent to absorb the bones left by the advanced skeleton, he can get the skeleton's occupation template and a lot of attribute values. Judging from the attributes displayed by this advanced skeleton, I am afraid that after obtaining its occupation template, Su Mu will be able to change occupations immediately, from a skeleton soldier to a higher level existence. There are many benefits. And conquer. The biggest advantage is that he will be able to gain a powerful combat power immediately. With the first advanced skeleton brother, when facing the second advanced skeleton, he doesn't need to work as hard as this time. It will be easier to wait until the second advanced skeleton is captured, and then the third advanced skeleton. So back and forth. It may not take a few days for Su Mu to replace his little brother from a first-order basic rank skeleton soldier to a second-rank advanced skeleton. Beheaded, or subdue. Silently thought about it. Su Mu picked up the skull. Erosion, the talent was activated, and a force from his heart began to quietly pour out, eroding the head of this advanced skeleton. Finally, Su Mu still chooses to enslave this advanced skeleton. The higher the level and rank of Su Mu, the shorter the time required to enslave the skeleton. The higher the rank of the enslaved skeleton, the longer the time required to be enslaved. Taken together, the time he spent enslaving this advanced skeleton did not take much longer than the first time he enslaved the skeleton soldier. 1 minute is over. When the advanced skeleton stopped struggling, Su Mu's mind also sounded a prompt sound from the system. You have gained control of the skeleton warrior. You enslaved the skeleton warrior. You can rename the skeleton warrior. You have obtained the transfer information of the advanced profession template skull warrior. Chapter 13. Advancement of the skeleton clan. It turns out that not only can kill skeletons get their job template information, but enslaved skeletons can also get their job template information. Su Mu's heart burst with joy when he saw the last message refreshed on the property panel. There is no longer an option to choose one. He not only obtained the occupation template owned by this advanced skeleton, but also added a powerful little brother. Skeleton warrior, this is the advanced occupation of his newly conquered younger brother. Although, with more than 10 years of game experience in the previous life. But the experience is all based on the player's perspective. The novice village where Su Mu was born in the previous life is not here, and the monsters crusade in the early game are not skeletons and undead. His knowledge of skeletons and undead is limited to their types and various bosses. More deeply, less is known. For example, the relationship between the skeleton family and other undead races, such as the advanced relationship between the various ranks of the skeleton family, and so on. When his identity changed from a player in the real world to a skeleton in the game world, most of the game experience in his previous life for more than 10 years was no longer applicable. The most valuable of them is his understanding of the entire game world and game rules. The details of the advanced system of the skeleton clan, except for the necromancer, I am afraid no one will care. Su Mu, who focused on the juggernaut route in his previous life, knew nothing about it. Thus, he just has to collect it again. The skeleton soldier is the basic advanced occupation of the skeleton clan. It is also the only occupation that all skeletons can transfer after meeting the corresponding conditions. But, since the advanced occupation, the uniqueness of this occupation has begun to change. Open black lens bracket template close black lens bracket, skeleton warrior. Open black lens bracket rank close black lens bracket, Advanced Occupation Template. Bonus, Health plus 200, Strength 4, Agility 1.5, Constitution 3, Spirit 0.1. Skill, Stun, Shock and Awe. Passive skill. As a member of the Skeleton Army, the Skeleton Warrior is born with the ability to dominate the skeleton soldiers and command them to fight. The number of skeleton soldiers that the Skeleton Warrior dominates depends on their spiritual attributes. Spirit attribute *10. This is the job template that the Skeleton Warrior has. From the perspective of template attributes, Skeleton Warriors focus on the growth of strength and physique, and the growth of agility attributes is not much higher than that of skeleton soldiers. Its spiritual attributes. From 0 to 0.1, this is already a qualitative breakthrough. After all, spiritual attributes determine the self-awareness and self-awareness of the skeleton family. The level of the other three attributes can only determine whether a skeleton is strong, and the level of spiritual attributes can determine whether a skeleton can awaken and eventually grow into a high-level undead with intelligence no less than human. The growth of the spiritual attribute of 0.1, combined with the passive skill of Shock and Awe, this is the origin of the group of skeleton soldiers around the Skeleton Warrior. Combined with his knowledge of the various skeletons of the skeleton family in his previous life, the complete advanced chain of the Skeleton Warrior was straightened out by Su Mu. Basic rank, Skeleton Soldiers. Advanced rank, Skeleton Warrior. Elite rank, Skeleton Warrior. Warrior rank, Skeleton Leader. Lord rank, Skeleton King. This is the orthodox advancement path of the Skeleton Clan. Of course, orthodoxy does not mean unique. Starting from the advanced level, the skeleton family has differentiated into many advanced paths. A skeleton swordsman with balanced development of strength, agility and physique, a skeleton assassin with more outstanding strength and agility, a skeleton guard who focuses on physique growth, etc. No one knows how many advanced paths the skeleton family has. Looking at the advanced career template that he had obtained, Su Mu was a little tangled in his heart. Compared with other advanced professions, the attribute growth of the Skeleton Warrior profession is not outstanding, and it emphasizes more on legion combat. The individual strength of a skeleton warrior may not be comparable to that of a skeleton swordsman. But when this skeleton warrior is full of younger brothers, the two meet, and the skeleton swordsman has a greater chance of being beheaded. If it was just an ordinary skeleton, Su Mu would naturally choose this advanced route. But with the existence of the erosion talent, the skeleton warrior is no longer the best choice for Su Mu. Shock and deterrence, and erosion highly overlap. The younger brother carried by the Shock and Awe skill is also limited by spiritual attributes and rank. Erosion, the younger brother who is enslaved by talent, does not have this restriction. As long as Su Mu has enough patience and strength, he can even enslave countless skeletons, skeleton soldiers, skeleton warriors, and even skeleton warriors as a skeleton soldier. If he changed to a skeleton warrior, he would be wasting an opportunity to acquire skills. Different from players. As a monster race, Su Mu's chances of acquiring skills are extremely rare. At least for now, it seems that only when he changes careers can he obtain a corresponding ability or skill from the career template. And every ability or skill will undoubtedly greatly enhance his combat effectiveness or survivability. He couldn't bear to waste such an opportunity. So, even though he had already met the requirements for the skeleton warrior's career change, Su Mu put it aside and did not change careers rashly. Wait a minute, with the addition of skeleton warriors, it may not be long before I can get the second and third advanced professional templates. I have a decision in my heart. Su Mu no longer paid attention to the advanced job template he had just obtained, and instead focused on the skeleton warrior younger brother he had just obtained. At this time, the skeleton warrior has completed the fusion of the head and the body. As soon as the body fusion was completed, the skeleton warrior who had been subdued pushed aside the numerous skeleton soldiers, holding a two-handed sword, and stood majestically beside Su Mu. As if. Chapter 14. Race Undead Race, Skeleton. Template Advanced Occupation Template Skull Warrior. Level 25. Status Health 470, Magic 16. Attribute Strength 29, Agility 20, Constitution 27, Spirit 1.6. Skill Stun. The enslaved skeleton, Su Mu can not only fully control, but also view its attribute template at any time. These are the attributes of the skeleton warrior. The difference in attributes brought about by a full 9 levels and 1 rank was basically wiped out by the erosion talent. Even so, the strength of the skeleton warrior cannot be denied. Without Suemu's command and participation, the result of the battle just now would have been completely opposite. This skeleton warrior alone is enough to kill all the 30 skeleton soldiers under his command, turning them into experience points for their growth. What's more, the skeleton warriors themselves carry more than a dozen skeleton soldiers. The addition of skeleton warriors doubled Suemu's power. After a simple recovery, allowing the skeletons under his command to repair his body, Suemu set off again, and took his 20 or so little brothers to the depths of the burial place. He and the skeleton warrior are roughly equal to the power of 2 advanced skeletons. Plus a bunch of skeleton soldiers. This kind of power is enough to go deeper into the burial grounds and hunt advanced skeletons. With the first experience, this time Suemu's expansion path is much easier. At the beginning, after encountering the skeleton warrior, Suemu and his skeleton warrior teamed up to smash him, enslaved him, and turned him into a part of his own power. When the number of skeleton warriors under his command reaches the number, there is no need for Suemu to take action by himself. As an advanced skeleton, although the skeleton warrior has no wisdom, he already has the concept of self. Its trajectory of action also has certain rules. According to Suemu's summary, most of the advanced skeletons are entrenched in a deeper area than the skeleton soldiers, killing each other. Only when they are seriously injured or the skeleton soldiers under their command are crippled will they leave their area and go to the place where the skeleton soldiers are entrenched to harvest and replenish their strength. After mastering these laws, Suemu's power has grown like a snowball again. First day, Suemu found 5 skeleton warriors. At the expense of the 7 skeleton soldiers who died in battle, he enslaved all the 5 skeleton soldiers and turned them into the little brothers of the skeleton soldiers under his command. The next day, Suemu found 3 skeleton warriors and a skeleton archer. At the cost of killing 4 skeleton soldiers, the skeleton warrior and the skeleton archer were enslaved, and Suemu obtained the second advanced professional template, the skeleton archer. Day 3, Suemu found 8 skeleton warriors. At the cost of the death of 10 skeleton soldiers, he enslaved all the 8 skeleton soldiers, and once again increased the number of skeleton soldiers under his command. Fourth day, Suemu found 9 skeleton warriors and a skeleton assassin. Day 5. Day 6. A full 7 days. When Suemu woke up from this process of continuous killing, all the skeleton soldiers under his command had died in battle, but the number of advanced skeletons under his command had reached more than 40. Among them, there are 39 skeleton warriors, 4 skeleton archers, 1 skeleton assassin, and 2 skeleton guards. And now, the head of a skeleton swordsman is lying at his feet. Skeleton swordsman, this is the advanced profession that Suemu chose for himself. Without him, because the skills attached to the professional template of the skeleton swordsman have the strongest frontal combat ability and are the most suitable for him. Bend down. Gray-white bone palms cover the skulls. Suemu activated the erosion talent. When the 1-minute time expires, several pieces of information are refreshed from his property panel. You have gained control of the skeleton swordsman. You enslaved the skeleton swordsman. You can rename the skeleton swordsman. You have obtained the transfer information of the advanced profession template skull swordsman. Finally, it's in hand. Opening and closing his jaws, Suemu sighed silently in his heart, and Suemu began to look at the job template he had just obtained. Open black lens bracket template, close black lens bracket, skeleton swordsman. Open black lens bracket, rank, close black lens bracket, advanced occupation template. Bonus, health plus 300, strength 5, agility 3, constitution 5, spirit 0.1. Skill, sky, active skill. Consumes 1/3 of your stamina to release an air blade with a coverage area of 120 to the front, causing physical damage of strength attribute 2 plus agility attribute 1 to enemies within the coverage area. This is the advanced occupation that Suemu wants to transfer. Leaving aside the health and attribute bonuses that exceed a full 1/3 of the skeleton warrior, what Suemu values most is the skill that comes with this job template, sky splitting. No doubt, this is a big move. Combined with his exclusive weapon, the skeleton sword, and his previous combat experience as a legendary juggernaut, the combat power brought by this skill far exceeds the damage introduced on the attribute panel. In addition, it is worth mentioning that Just as the release skills of legal professions need to consume mana, the release skills of physical professions also need to consume stamina. But this physical strength value is not physical strength in the ordinary sense, but is more inclined to the concept of vindictiveness. Just like Void Slash, after releasing it 3 times in a row, he will not die from exhaustion, but will enter a state of skill cooldown, which does not affect his normal attacks. During this process, the stamina value will slowly recover according to the physical attributes, and after the recovery reaches a certain level, you can continue to release the skills. For legal professions, their attack method is to release skills. For the physics profession, normal attack is their main attack method. Any skill can be used as a big move. You have obtained the transfer information of the Advanced Profession Template Skull Swordsman. The transfer conditions are met. Will you change to Skull Swordsman? A little bit. Check the professional template of the Skeleton Swordsman. When Sumu digested the information in his mind, the prompt sound of the system also sounded in his mind at the right time. The mandible opened slightly, as if smiling. Sumu did not hesitate and chose to change careers. Chapter 15. Open black lens bracket name close black lens bracket, Sumu. Race Undead race, Skeleton. Template Advanced Occupation Template Skull Swordsman. Level 20, 3167 10,000ths. Status Health 650, Magic 60. Attribute Strength 32, Agility 28, Constitution 35, Spirit 6. Talent Erosion the only talent. Skill Slash. Above. This is Suemu's current attribute. Although it cannot be compared with high-level skeletons such as warriors and lords, but facing a skeleton that has reached the elite level, he already has the power to fight. Of course, it's just the power of a fight. If he wants to win the battle, he also needs the assistance of the advanced skeleton younger brother under his command, whose total number has reached 46. After completing the job transfer, take a break. Sumu continued with his skeleton brothers. Now that he has the strength to hunt elite skeletons, he is not going to waste time around here. Take your skeleton brothers deeper into the boneyard and enslave an elite skeleton. Then copy the previous strategy, and slowly replace the skeleton boy beside him with the elite skeleton boy. When the number of elite skeleton brothers is enough, continue to go deep and hunt the skeletons of the warrior rank. Snowball all the way, push all the way, until you enslave a large number of warrior-level skeletons in the shortest time, kill the skeleton king, and let yourself sit in the position of the lord of the place where the bones are buried. Isn't it beautiful? Only, this is just Suemu's fantasy after all. When he went deeper into the burial ground and encountered the first elite skeleton, Sumu discovered that the fight between elite skeletons was more cruel than the fight between advanced skeletons. If it is said that the battle between skeleton soldiers is only a duel between individuals, the battle between advanced skeletons is already a battle between groups, and the battle between elite skeletons is a war. At this time, there is a war in front of his eyes. This is a small hilly area. When Sumu arrived here with his skeleton warrior brother, countless pale skeletons appeared at the end of his vision. It's a sea of skeletons. At a glance, there are at least hundreds of them in this sea of skeletons. Most of the skeletons in the Sea of Skeletons are skeleton soldiers, and only a few are skeleton warriors. In the center of this sea of skeletons, a tall skeleton in armor was standing there majestically, staring straight ahead. Seeing this scene, Sumu was sour. This is the core of skeletons. Compared with this sea of skeletons, which are as high as hundreds, the 46 little skeleton brothers behind him are as shabby as a bathtub by the pond. What we pursue is quality. Although our quantity is small, our quality is high. After muttering a few words in his heart as if to comfort himself, Sumu continued to look into the distance. No doubt, the Gundam skeleton standing in the center of the Sea of Skeletons is the elite advancement of the skeleton warriors, the skeleton warriors. Only skeleton warriors can lead hundreds of skeleton seas when they are in the elite rank. In addition to the skeleton warriors, there are 7 or 8 advanced skeletons in the Sea of Skeletons. The rest are all skeleton soldiers. Although the quality of this sea of skeletons is not very high, its types are quite complete. At a glance, Sumu saw dozens of skeleton soldiers armed with bows and arrows. Next to the skeleton general, he even saw 2 skeleton mages and a skeleton guard. Appearing here with hundreds of skeletons, the skeleton warriors are naturally not letting go. Actually, it's a war, only. The enemy of the skeleton warrior is not another sea of skeletons, but a skeleton. It is hard to imagine that a skeleton warrior with a sea of hundreds of skeletons will start a war with only a skeleton. Moreover, at the beginning of this hundreds of one war, the first attack was the lone skeleton. Under Suemu's gaze, the skeleton began to charge. 100 meters. 50 meters. 30 meters. Facing the direction of the skeleton sea, this skeleton charged faster and faster. When the distance between the two was only more than 10 meters, the skeleton jumped, leaving a deep footprint on the ground, and the skeleton rose into the air and crossed the dozens of skeletons in front of the sea of skeletons. The skeleton soldier holding the sword and shield entered the interior of the sea of skeletons. Not yet landed. A splendid blade of light burst out from the skeleton's two-handed sword and attacked the many skeleton soldiers in front of it. Crack the sky. When seeing this scene, the fire of the soul in Suemu's eyes shook slightly. No doubt, this skeleton is an elite skeleton, and the skill of splitting the air is more than enough to show that the occupation template owned by this single-handed skeleton is clearly the elite occupation of the skeleton swordsman. Seems to be lucky, just entering the area where the elite skeletons are entrenched, and encountering such an elite skeleton. Suemu's luck is naturally good. But he was in no hurry to intervene in the war. Instead, he was patient, continued to hide his whereabouts, and quietly watched the battle in the distance. The individual strength growth rate of the skeleton swordsman is higher than that of the skeleton warrior. As an elite class of skeleton swordsmen, this skeleton's individual strength growth is further than that of skeleton warriors. Even the skeleton generals are not the opponents of this elite skeleton, let alone the advanced skeletons and skeleton soldiers under the command of the skeleton generals. When the light blade formed by the sky splitter burst out, a small area in front of the skeleton was immediately emptied. Broken bones splattered everywhere. Just this trick. The skeleton warrior lost more than 30 skeleton soldiers. After one blow, the skeleton no longer released its skills, but waved the two-handed sword in his hand, continuously beheading the skeleton soldiers in front of him, and dashed in the direction of the skeleton general. At the same time, the skeleton warrior was not idle either. With a wave of extremely obscure soul fluctuations, the dozens of skeleton soldiers behind the sea of skeletons raised their white bone bows, and a rain of arrows formed by pale bone arrows attacked the elite skeletons. Next to the skeleton general, the two skeleton mages cast spells at the same time, and two blue fireballs the size of human heads appeared, blasting towards the elite skeletons at an extremely fast speed. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.